So you kind of talk about the difference between good chatbots and bad chatbots. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and some of the good principles or designs that you've seen that really separated the good ones from the rest?
So we actually are in the process of compiling a top 10 principles for designing chatbots. We are up to number 8 now in our conversations with people. But there are a few of them that we think are absolutely critical. One of them is onboarding. The first interaction that your bot has with your customer, doesn't matter how they found your bot, what the entry point was. You are responsible for getting them comfortable enough that they can have a relationship with your bot for longer than that session, right? The other things are, being able to tell them, get them to a wow point, get them to achieve something in your chatbot. There's a lot of these bots that can do a lot of things. A good example for that would be, Hipmunk, for example. And there, if you ever interact with Hipmunk's bot the first time, they get you to actually search for a flight right away. It's not book a flight. It's not search for a hotel or anything. They can do a lot of things beyond that in their bot, but that's the core value prop that they want you to go away from. Take it away, and then after a while, you'll come back and do another search and then do another things. And you can set up notifications and all the fancy stuff around it, but slowly disclose information. And the third one that I would say is very important is managing error states. Sooner or later, people will break your bot and break the conversation. It's almost like it's a matter of if, not when. Matter of when, not if. So how do you handle those errors and how do you bring them back to the main point of your conversation? So, for example, if somebody's searching for flights and they enter a city or a state that you just don't understand, well, help them out. Maybe they misspelled it. Maybe they are writing or requesting something else.Maybe the context has changed. How do you bring them back together? So we work with, as I said, we have a lot of clients who are working in this sort of domain and solving these problems. And some of them have really, really amazing approaches to it. So they have come up with approaches like we conversations where you always want to keep them in the middle of the conversation funnel, but they can always go a little towards the edge and then bring them back and protect that. And prototyping definitely helps you with that. So you can actually, as much as it is easier for you to prototype a happy state, once you have that, you can go back and say, what happens after this step that the user just can completely go haywire? Like, in our case, for example, it was like, hey, I asked for customer service, but then I can be like, oh, do you have black shoes? That is still a relevant request for customer service, but can they redirect a different part of their bot and make it so that the user just seems like it's a seamless journey? Like, I went to this particular part of your conversation. And in human conversation, that is easy to do. Like, you and I are talking, we are looking at each other, we can change the topic. I can ask you what's the weather, and you can answer that question, and I can come back to the same previous question that you asked. So those memories and all of those scenarios are something that you might want to handle.
And I think what was really helpful in BotMock is especially that color scheme. How like the journey that you want, the core journey that you want the users to have, it was green. And then as it starts, kind of slightly getting outwards and outwards away from the core journey, it becomes, like red or orange. I think that was really helpful in actually seeing it.